We're up. We're here.
Now, what everybody's wondering is obviously you've made the adjustment, CJ, with the thing in the back of you, but it's very dark in your room now. Usually,
I'm just standing up.
Oh, okay.
Look at this. Look what we get now.
Look at this. What a pro.
How about that?
Oh, come on.
Come on now.
I see ya. All
Literally
right.
the most forearm of CJ's I've ever seen.
Yep.
That's a lot.
A lot of forearm.
Too much forearm?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because it was up here. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Did anything happen in the last 3 hours that I should know about?
I just saw a tweet that some people got their votes in, officially.
Well, not officially, but
Okay.
there's people tracking MVP, people who have publicly said who they voted for, and it looks like it is by far Jokic. KOC posted all of his stuff and put Embiid second team all defense, and then second team all NBA, and then second for MVP. So
I just saw Windy and Perk.
Perk is
Joel.
is Embiid, right?
Yeah, the Windy and Perk were the only two people I recognized
Okay.
that put him first.
Carry the hell on.
That's right.
I love that Perk
Yeah.
is beloved.
It's a great
In
bit.
the Sixers community now. Wow. We have so much fun stuff to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Another 15 seconds. Oh, man. Stateside was supposed to have the rocks glasses up. And I don't see them yet, so I'll talk about them.
Some cool glasses.
Yeah, they are. Let's see if it's there. I don't think it's there. No. All right. Well, what are you going to do? All right. Let's do it. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. Brought to you by Body Bio. Use code RTRS20 at bodybio.com for 20% off everything. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, home of the Surfside Vodka Tea and the sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe, statesidevodka.com. On the show today, the Sixers end yet another regular season as the 4 seed will take on the Toronto Raptors in the first round, minus one player for the road games. We'll talk about that matchup. Maybe give away some regular season grades. Doc Rivers has a fit almost about Paul Reed having a good game, and it doesn't look like Joel Embiid's going to win MVP, but that's okay with us. Just something that we can be annoyed about over the next several years and exact revenge over. I did mention Stateside Vodka, home of the Surfside iced tea and vodka, only 100 calories, just sweet enough, not carbonated. They're also going to have very soon. It was going to be up by the time you're listening to this pod on Tuesday morning, it will be available. They're doing a special with a bottle of Stateside and 2 rocks glasses, one with the playoff motherfucker logo and one with the regular season bitch logo. I believe it will be the big bottle of Stateside and the 2 rocks glasses for $49.99. So by the time you're listening to this Tuesday morning, it's probably on the website. If not, check our Twitter or something. Statesidevodka.com. You got to be 21 to consume it, 21 to buy it. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's going to say it for you real slow so we're all clear. That is one Mike Levin.
I was very upset yesterday when I saw that.
Can we just start with that?
I think we should.
Okay.
I think between the Matisse press conference and the Doc decision-making tree and quotes after the game, I really...
Doc
it would be
Rivers
such a relief to root for the Raptors to win. How much better would my life be
if
I was just
won.
like rooting for the Raptors, rooting for the Raptors. The end. But I love Maxey and Embiid and a couple other guys too much to do that. So
Doc Rivers is just a real fucking asshole, it seems like. Not only makes questionable decisions, but real stubborn fucking asshole. And several times in press conferences over the last couple of years has been a real asshole. So on the last pod, Mike went into a legendary meltdown for about 32 straight minutes. And I think as time goes on, it will become one of the cornerstone episodes of the Ricky, is the meltdown over B-Ball Paul not playing. You had no idea. I was tweeting at Daryl. I was tweeting at Doc Rivers. Had no idea what was happening. And in the very next game, or 2 games later, very next game, maybe, B-Ball Paul got some minutes. And then in the final game of the season, he had 25 points on 14 shots. What was he, 12 of 14? Just has a fucking great game, B-Ball Paul. And he gets asked by Derek Bodner about the game. Doc Rivers gets asked about B-Ball Paul's game after the game, and Doc Rivers just has a fucking hissy fit. Can we see the video, CJ? Hear the audio as well, if you're a podcaster. Here we go.
Playing Paul a little bit more earlier in the season. Let me clarify this one more time for everybody who struggles with this. When there's a small lineup, I'm going to say it slow so we can all pick it up. We'll play smaller with Paul. When there's a big 5, you play bigger with DJ. Do we all have that now?
Up until the last 3 games, that hasn't been the case. I'm asking, would it be beneficial?
Up until the last 3 games, look at who we've been playing. Just look at it. They've had big 5s in. Okay, so against big 5s, because of fouling, we like DJ. Do you understand that? We have a whole coaching staff who, I'm just going to guess, knows a little bit more. And they watch every game. They watch every practice. We believe against Big 5, DJ is good for us. We believe against smalls, Paul. Could we play Paul with a Big 5? Yeah, you could. You may get in foul trouble early in a playoff game, which could swing a game. I've been around a long time. Trust that.
it is there. So okay.
He lied, first of all.
There's so many factually incorrect things on top of how much of a dickhead he is over the course of that. I mean, since he's been here, he's been a fucking dickhead. This is the most egregious one because it's like him being a dickhead about something that he was being a dickhead about. So it's just like a double down. It's like dickhead to the second degree because
he says
he is lying. Like,
yes,
he hasn't played. There were months that went by without him playing Paul Reed. Months. And
his statement that against smaller 5s, we play Paul Reed. No, you don't.
It's not. It's not true. It's
Reed's
not true.
played like
Also,
100 minutes
what year does Doc think it is that there's just these like big lumbering Rick Smitzes and Jeff Fosters? I'm just naming Pacers. Why? Like what's going on? Like there's most bigs.
Dale
like,
Davis.
There's very very few big men that aren't either extremely versatile, like switchable, think like a Nick Claxton type who can defend out on the perimeter, or at least shoot the 3 on the offensive end and stretch out the defense. DeAndre Jordan is one of, I would say, like 7 NBA players right now who either can't shoot the 3 and also can't defend out to the 3. He is a fossil. And he's also not giving a fuck right now. There were several plays since he got here and especially during the last couple of games when Paul was looking good, doing B-ball Paul stuff, where DeAndre is just like fully not giving a shit, absolutely exposed effort-wise, everything. So the idea that there's so many big matchups that DeAndre Jordan is just so necessary for, that Paul Reed simply can't hold up for, is nonsense. He's living in a fantasy world of 1995. The second thing is, how many fucking minutes do we think that Paul Reed is going to play in the playoffs where foul trouble is going to be an issue?
He could use up all 6 in every
He
game.
could use up all 6 in the first half. It would be totally fine. And then, Doc, guess what? You get to play your boy DeAndre. You get to play your guy. Congratulations, my friend. Like, that is not an excuse. It's not an excuse. DeAndre Jordan or Paul Reed are going to play maximum 10 non-garbage time minutes in the playoffs. A lot of times I would say maybe less, especially as it gets deeper into the playoffs. If Joel stays healthy, and right now he's, knock on wood, knock on everything, as he's played more minutes this season than he ever has. So he feels good.
All he would have to do, if there is something that we're not seeing, right? Because this happens in press conferences a lot when players or coaches explain something. All he would have to do, if he's seeing something that nobody else is seeing, whether it be in practice or scrimmages or even in games, say, hey, look, love Paul, works hard. Here's why he's not playing. But to just say he is playing and then to come up with a bad reason as to why he doesn't play, he isn't playing. That's why. That's the whole problem. Cleveland, they don't have a backup 5 right now. They don't even have one. They're playing Kevin Love as backup 5.
Yes. I'm struggling to go through every single point. So he does. Yes. So he hasn't been playing him, like, objectively true. And it's very clear when he talks about B-ball Paul, he resents him. Like, Doc has taken the way that the media and fans and whoever, and probably one like dorky assistant coach that he was forced to hire, the fact that they're like, hey, B-ball Paul, please, he's better. Look at the on-off numbers. Like, look, he's better. Like, we're playing, he can do all these things. DeAndre can't do them. He takes that to mean, like, now he's offended by it. He's offended by it, and he's doubling down and going, like, no matter what happens, DeAndre Jordan could cost us a playoff series. He could cost me my job. And I will ride with him no matter what, because I'm such a stubborn asshole that I'm not, at this point, playing B-ball Paul is admitting I'm wrong. And he is. He was wrong all season. He was incredibly wrong. He was wrong when, by the way, Andre Drummond played pretty well when he was here, played better than I thought he would, is certainly a way better player than DeAndre Jordan. Similar names. And Doc was wrong to not play B-ball Paul then, for the simple reason that you never know what you're going to need in the playoffs. Like, you just don't. Like, you don't know what situation. Andre Drummond against a small lineup, as we're going to see with Brooklyn, is going to be exposed. Like, the regular season is too long. There are too many games. Many of them don't matter. But a benefit of that is that you get to play some players over the course of time and get to see what you have in them and see, like, okay, in the playoffs, we have this flexibility. Paul Reed, no matter who was here, whether it's DeAndre Jordan or Paul Millsap or anybody else, like, the benefit of him, he should have played more all season long, because he's very clearly a talented player and a unique player that plays his ass off, that is super long, that is an absolute terror on the offensive glass, that gets out in transition, gets his hands in place. Like, he is a unique player. I'm not saying he's perfect. Like, he is absolutely weird, and sometimes he does spin moves into nothing. Like, he definitely fouls too much, 100%. But this whole season was malpractice on Doc for not playing him more, when time after time we've seen Joel Embiid's backups fail and fail and fail in the playoffs, and not giving, like, an opportunity to somebody that's not like a big stiff that can't shoot and now also can't defend, is an indictment on Doc, and he should be fired. Like, his failure to admit this stuff and throw assistants under the bus also, by the way. Imagine being an assistant that all year that's been begging him to play Paul Reed, And he's like, I have assistants here that are like, they watch a lot of games. And somebody's got to be like, yeah, doc, we've been fucking telling you to play Paul Reed for 6 months. And he did that with Ty Lue back in LA also. He's just a huge dickhead. Like a massive, massive dickhead all the time. And it's also like, if you're B-ball Paul,
we feel like shit now.
Which I like to
like
imagine
shit.
that I am B-ball Paul.
Yeah.
I would love to have that energy with me. I'm nothing like anything about him, but I love him and everything he stands for. Even his tweets from 2013, when he was like 11 or whatever. You're a second-year player that was drafted at the end of the second round, and to have your coach say like we're not doing a B-ball Paul victory tour, like what a fucking asshole. I'm Paul Reed. I'm trying to get better. I'm working on the things. I know I'm weird. I know I play weird. I'm getting all this input all the time, and to be told like, oh yeah, my coach is so stubbornly against me that he would rather like just pick a fight about me and fight with Derek Bodner than like just say like, hey, yeah, Paul's actually gotten a lot better and we like him now. So like we'll see based on matchup, but like we really like Paul. I probably should have played him a little bit more sooner, but like he's really earned it and I'm proud of him. Like now it feels like Doc is against Paul. And like if I'm him, like I can't wait to play for a different coach.
We got an email from AJ who said, no questions here. I just want to say that it's pretty clear Doc was playing B-ball in order to show that he couldn't handle the backup job. Then when the plan backfires because B-ball is such a clear upgrade, Doc lashed out at Bodner for pointing out how wrong Doc has been the entire time.
Yeah, the whole time.
Only on the Sixers will we have to deal with this level of stupidity and pettiness.
The whole time.
His nickname is B-ball.
I mean, it's a real joke. And obviously like the teams that Paul Reed's played against the past couple games have been horrendous teams, especially the second unit guys that Paul Reed's playing against for the most part. Like, it's not an example that Paul Reed should be starting somewhere, but like he can clearly play and he's clearly better than DeAndre Jordan. It's not close. It right now is not like, it is not like functionally close. DeAndre Jordan arguably is the worst rotation player in the league right now. There's nothing that he can do. He can catch a lob occasionally. Like that's it. There's nothing, and Paul Reed can do that. Like there's just nothing that DeAndre Jordan's better than him that. And it's really frustrating. I was, when Doc signed here pre-Daryl, I feel like you were pretty negative about it, right?
Yeah, I was. This is fine, I guess. I think. My reaction.
Alyssa was laughing because she has always hated Doc and thought he was a bad coach, so she was making fun of it. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's probably going to be fine. I was like, he's a veteran coach. He's established. The Sixers haven't had that kind of coach come here since like Larry Brown, basically, who I also didn't like. Mm-hmm. And it was like, after the years of like chaos that they had, this is maybe a stabilizing force. But man, he's such a dickhead. He's such a dickhead. Like the idea that like Derek Bodner or anybody couldn't like
just ask a question.
Arrange a rotation. Like it's not hard to pick 10 guys to play. Like that's not the difficult part of being a head coach. Like if he's saying like, yeah, we're diagramming plays and stuff, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I'm probably not the best guy for that. I'll trust your assistant coaches. But to be like, hey, should I play this guy or this guy? And you go like, I actually watch the games. It's like, yeah, you're the head coach of the teams. Of course you watch the games, Doc. No one's out here saying you don't watch the games. They're just saying you're making decisions based on your own ego and vanity, and you're a fossil from the 90s that just refuses to grow and have blown the same 3-1 leads over and over again. Anyway, like I would say middle on Doc, but as people got more negative, I was like, it's still probably fine. It's still probably fine. But at this point, man, God, fuck him. Get out of here. He blows. He blows.
He does.
I can't find a thing. I can't find a thing to like about it anymore. I'm losing it. You just don't shit on the fucking 58th pick that B-ball Paul was, and like,
for no reason.
He's like grown into like a really interesting player who like tries hard, tries his ass off, has the best nickname in sports. Like, get out of here, man. Get out of here. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I was really mad yesterday. I was doing the podcast in my head. I was way worse than I was way meaner than I am right now. It was just like,
wow, you called him a dickhead like 25 times.
That's not enough.
I'm blown away that there can be contentious moments in press conferences for sure. There are tough moments or whatever. But, and I know this will sound ridiculous, but like everybody's all in this together. It's just fucking showbiz. You know what I mean? Like it's games and sports and coaches and media. And I would say that the Sixers media is generally incredibly fair and respectful in person. They're not like animals. Like the Eagles reporters can be animals sometimes. Everybody's fine. Everybody has to see each other after every game. And I just like, there's no reason why you can't just give an answer. And if you're such a smart basketball guy, you could make Derek look like a fucking idiot. You could, just by telling him the right thing instead of repeating over and over again that you and your staff watch all the basketball, whereas Derek only watches some of the basketball.
Well, it's also not like
true.
It's not like the question was, "Hey, fuckface, don't you feel like a big dumb idiot now?" And if it was, then I get why you'd be like, hey man, that's upsetting. But like, it was a normal question. Like, hey, this guy played really, really well for a couple games when we're all watching DeAndre Jordan play like shit. And the only thing he's doing well is like, literally if he's standing under the basket, sometime the ball bounces to him on defense.
I'm just imagining Rob King's face and Dave Schaller's face when Derek raises his hand and
He
goes,
should.
Hey, fuckface.
Derek should. Derek is owed after that bullshit. I hope someone apologized to Derek. Not that, Derek's fine. He can handle this. But like,
Yeah,
Derek
but I mean,
should be owed one, hey,
doesn't-
fuckface to die.
Yeah,
Sometime in the playoffs. Like, he should be owed it. And Doc should be like, I deserve that.
Sponsor, Body Bio. Body Bio says, hey, fuckface. Hey, dickhead. Body Bio is a supplement company from right here in the Delaware Valley. South Jersey is where Body Bio is from. I live in Jersey now, too. Body Bio is great. Family-owned, family-operated supplement company. And that's good for supplements because it's a big, huge company. First of all, you don't even know if you're buying their supplements. They could just be white label in the product. But the second thing is it's hard for them to change. But Body Bio changes on a dime. Use the code RTRS20 for 20% off any of the products from Body Bio that we've mentioned. Elite, liposomal vitamin C, and the one that I've mentioned the most recently, butyrate, is the only gut supplement you need. Only gut supplement you need. Your body makes butyrate, but doesn't make enough of it. So what Body Bio does is they make a version called sodium butyrate. And if you're not sure which one to take, you can read up on their website, but that one is pretty much the fail-safe. And take 2 pills after every meal. And that bloat that you feel all day long, you eat lunch at work, you feel bloated the rest of the day, the bloat that you feel will be gone. You will be regular. The bloat, I'm talking about not just feeling it, looking at it. You will see a difference. Use butyrate. It is safe. As I said, your body makes it. It's just giving you the right amount of it. A postbiotic, the only gut supplement you need. Use code RTRS20 at bodybio.com for 20% off anything. I'm telling you, give it a try. You will thank me for it. Bodybio.com, RTRS20.
I'm still mad.
You have every right to be. You want to do now? Do you want to do? I wanted to like wrap up regular season, talk a little bit about the Raptors series. Which one do you want to do?
Well, let's just talk really quickly about the Pistons game because Paul Reed was quite good, and that's cool.
He scored
And he
25
had
points.
not only had 25 points on 14 shots, he also had 4 steals. He blocked a couple shots. There were a couple ticky-tack foul calls. Like, yeah, he fouls too much. Like a lot of Isaiah Jackson on Indiana also fouls too much. Like, but they're exciting young players that are like learning how to figure it out. Like
Backup centers foul too much all the time.
That's
anyway.
like exactly, especially guys that like block shots and get on the perimeter. Like he's going to do that, and that's fine. And that's why he's not going to play 30 minutes a game in the playoffs. If he plays 9, then you're happy. If he plays 9 even minutes, especially against the Raptors, which we can talk about, is like such a win. Instead, he's going to probably play DeAndre a game or 2, or he's going to pull Paul after like 1 play and then let DeAndre just like run amok with his fucking sludge play. It's sludge is what it is. And it's just I've never had a tolerance for coaches just deferring to veterans because they are closer in age to them. Because like functionally, he's just not there. There's just no reason for it aside from like, this guy's annoying to talk to, and I'm like going to teach him a lesson of like what it's like to be older. Like he's just a dickhead about it. but like especially when they're like way, way, way worse. DeAndre is way worse than Paul Reed at this point. I can't get over it.
You don't get to carry the fouls from one game to the next.
No.
If you only have 3 one game, you don't get 9 the next game.
No.
I'd rather B-ball Paul use every foul he can in the playoffs.
And imagine like we have been here, Derek and us and everybody that's listening to the podcast has been here longer than Doc. So like when we say, hey, backup center's an issue and you're playing a fucking shitty one, go watch previous years when the backup center lost us playoff series. Several of them. Check it out. They should, one of your many staff of people that watch basketball should be able to get like to pull the tape for you, Doc. Like it's just like really deeply fucking frustrating. And I want the players on the team to band together to either slap Doc in the face or at least win in spite of him. Like,
or maybe like in Varsity Blues in the halftime, they all turn on him and he walks out and who coaches them? Who's the player that
B-ball
coaches
Paul?
them?
B-ball Paul? Who's the one on the team who knows most about B-ball? Maybe it's the one with B-ball in his name.
Yeah, maybe.
Or Danny. Danny would be a funny coach. Danny would be like, I don't feel like playing. Somebody else get in there.
I don't trust him to not talk shit on players on his podcast.
That's true. That's true. Shake was also awesome.
Yeah,
and has
30.
been pretty good lately.
He has. He definitely won the quiet tournament.
The
for
very
sure.
extremely quiet tournament, one of the quietest. But it was cool. So it's cool to see him like get that and feel good about himself and stuff, and just a little more confidence. He's still not the shooter that I believe him to be. Maybe he has smoker's arms. Maybe he needs to just put on actual muscle in those things. But he doesn't shoot the same way. His Twitter name is Sniper. His defining characteristic when he got into the league was that he was a good shooter. And you watch him now, and it's like they gave him the ball that is 3 times heavier than the regular ball when he's shooting it. There's something looks wrong. I can't figure it out. But he has, over the last few weeks, he has looked pretty good. Yeah, he's getting to the rim a little bit. Yeah. I mean, nobody was guarding anyone in the Detroit game, but he kept getting to the rim. He's got his little mid-range down. He has a little chicken wing where he gets some, most of the time they don't call an offensive foul on it, that he uses to create some space. He's good at like those like awkward, weird step little floaters and stuff. So another guy that, you know, we'll talk about the series, but especially without Matisse, like he's going to need to play some minutes and he's going to need to like be a threat off the catch. He's going to be able to like, if guys close out on him, he's going to be able to need to drive by him and make some things happen and throw the occasional lob and stuff. It's super helpful that he's that good, because Korkmaz's just like, even against Detroit, another 1 of 7 from 3. Like he's just gone. He's just out, which is sad. So the Sixers wrap up the regular season with 51 wins. Not bad. The 4 seed. They actually end up tied for, I mean, record-wise, all the second 2, 3, 4 were all tied, right? Mm-hmm. And with Boston ending up 2, Milwaukee 3, and the Sixers 4. Do you have obviously Embiid with an MVP season gets hard to give him anything but an A+ for the season, right? I was trying to think of, right? You'd give him, he could have improved anything, right? I was thinking about Harris. And he only got injured, we should say, just to specify. Like he missed some games this year, but almost all of them except for like 2 to 5 games were because of COVID. Like he didn't miss game because he was like out with a like knee sprain or whatever it is. He had COVID, and otherwise he's been an extremely healthy player this year. It's been a really interesting season for Tobias Harris. He didn't even play well. He had some good games, but I don't think he played particularly well pre-Harden. And then the first 3 or 4 games with Harden, he looked fucking terrible. I think overall for performance, you give him like a C+ or a B-, but I think the way that he's shifted his game and the way that he's played recently, if you were to grade him on effort and change and evolution over the last few weeks, he has shown more than I expected of him. You know, he's been a fine season, a normal Tobias Harris season, but he has evolved and bought in, at least on the court. Maybe not mentally bought in, but he has bought in with his play more than I thought he would have. Yes, I agree with that. I am terrified that he's going to revert back to old Tobias. I'm sure he will. As he did in the Detroit game. It was like, oh, Harden and Embiid's not playing? Okay, I am not taking a 3. He took 0 threes in 24 minutes. Pretty remarkable. 3 of 10 from the field, no foul
Gets it out of
shots.
the system.
So, I'm worried it's going to happen. He has absolutely looked good on the offensive end as a catch and shoot guy, accepting his role. He has looked good on ball defense. Off ball, still nothing there. He's just not bending down. Guy hasn't bent down, not diving for anything, not getting on the ground, not anticipating anything. It's never going to happen. But I'm worried it's going to come back because that's who he is. He's going to revert back to it. The amount of post-ups that Tobias Harris gets, usually, not as much anymore, but the amount of, how many post-ups he gets and how few free throws he gets out of him. It's a strange combination of I'm sure some people think Tobias Harris is a very physical player because he is big and he is strong, but he doesn't use that size or strength to get almost anywhere ever. And so it's wild to see him he's going to take, TJ or Killian Hayes or Frank Jackson into the post. Here it comes. And he's going to take a fade away where he doesn't get much separation, 16-footer. And and a lot of times he's going to come up short. He airballed a 5-foot fade away the other day. It was he shouldn't be doing that. He needs to know that he's not that person.
It's always funny when he gets compared to Melo because he's really Melo's strong. Melo's a strong guy, a strong offensive rebounder and an incredibly willing 3-point shooter. I think it's just a headband. It's he kind of looks like him physically, I guess, but he's not really like him at all. Maxey obviously gets an A.
Oh yeah,
A++. Incredible, a leap we haven't seen really. I don't think ever. Everybody else, and it's not even interesting grade. Nyang was good for what he was, and I thought it was a B+ season for him. I don't think he could have expected more out of George Nyang. It was a weird season for Danny Green, who appears to have, years after losing a couple of steps, lost yet another step and still is probably the second best perimeter defender on the team. I mean, almost definitely the second best perimeter defender on the team and the most willing corner 3-point shooter on the team. So we've always talked about players who are too important for the Sixers, who always seem to have 3 of them every year, who you wish weren't so important, and Danny Green is one of those. And sort of a lost season for both. Shake can recover it, but a lost season for Korkmaz and Shake. Shake still has the time. Kork, just a strange season from beginning to end.
Yeah, there were at least a few games that Shake looked good and helped out. Korkmaz, I can't remember the last good game he had. It was a really, really horrendous season for him. And they still got him for a couple, maybe he's salary matching type thing in a trade this offseason or something. But yeah, not looking good. And Isaiah Joe, as much as I wanted him to get more minutes and think that he deserved an opportunity to get more minutes, he also didn't grab the bull by the horns. So it's not he really earned it all the time. Although I think his defense is underrated and will continue to get better.
How would you grade Morey? Coach Dickhead, obviously, you're giving a failing grade, but
it's also weird with Doc because it's they do seem to win any backs against the wall type games when they're undermanned. It seems those kinds of games it's okay, the fact that just go out there and play type thing tends to work when it's allowing guys to play free. But sometimes playing free, and especially against the Raptors, which we'll talk about in a bit, is they're just going to make you look so foolish.
Yep.
And sometimes they do. Morey I thought was another incomplete grade. I think he's
it's a tough situation he was in.
Well, for the first couple years, or the first year, I guess he kind of just kept hitting singles, drafting the guys that came to him and making the kind of easy trades and not really winning a trade really, but just being yeah, this is what you have to do. You have to attach a first round pick to get off Al Horford. Josh Richardson for Seth was, I think, a good trade, but also Seth is still probably not playable in the playoffs. And Josh Richardson looked good at times, and it's part. I think it was a win of a trade for sure, especially for the Sixers. But I think it wasn't as much of a win as sometimes people, as just the prior Sixers circumstance made it seem like it because of how weak they were in so many other areas. On an individual in a vacuum, 1-for-1 player. I think they're like pretty close. And then he goes and like decides to hold on to Ben against the advice of a lot of people and seeming really stubborn and wanting to get his guy. And then he got him. And that's, rare for an executive to have that level of confidence in like, this is going to work out. I believe in this working out. I think it'll come to play eventually. But the fact that it happened so late didn't allow him to then do other maneuvers that would have helped the team solidify it. So,
and he might have missed out on the last great Harden season too by by it happening this season instead of last season as well.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
because Harden did look great prior to the hamstring injury last year. He was, people even with the fucked up situation in Houston, they were talking about MVP.
Yeah, for sure. I really think yes. He can't blow by people anymore. And maybe in the future that he can, and I'm sure we'll talk about the contract and the prospective contract in the offseason plenty.
Oh, we will.
And we'll see how the playoffs go and see what next gear he has at this point in his career. But he's still really, really, really helpful on a basketball court with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. And can just get a ton of guys shots all the time. And I don't love as the step back all the time as much as he takes them. I wish he would take more off the catch. The ISOs don't always work, and especially foul hunting in the playoffs and in situations when you're just make the other play. I would like it more, but he still really gets guys open a lot and gets guys easy shots. And I don't think he's one of the top 10 players of basketball anymore, but he's still really, really helpful. And the fact that Maxey's as good as he is and that Embiid's as good as he is makes Harden's skill set really, really helpful as well. So I'm hoping that, obviously the non-Doc Rivers part of me is hoping that they win the playoffs and can prove that these three guys are a really nice fit together, and can go deep into the playoffs. But it'd be nice if he was still the older version or the younger version of himself. But I still think he's really, really good just because of the other stuff he does on the basketball court.
We'll talk about Thybulle along with the Raptors series right after we talk about Big Barker dog beds. I haven't seen my dog in 8 days, which is crushing for me. My wife and I went to my brother's wedding, and congratulations to Sasha and my brother Jason. By the way, if you ever have a chance to go to an Indian wedding, you should do it. They party. They go hard. But my dog has been with my in-laws and is there until Thursday. I miss Rebel, who sleeps on his Big Barker right next to our bed. That's right, a real bed right next to a real bed. Big Barker is the only real dog bed for sale, the only real dog bed on the market, the only dog bed that is proven by a study by Penn Vet to actually make a difference in your dog's health. The support that the Big Barker dog bed gives your dog actually makes a difference in health. Penn Vet study showed a 17% improvement in joint function, a 21% reduction in pain severity, a 15% improvement to quality of life, all because it's a real bed that your dog sleeps on. Dog sleeps a lot, needs a real bed. BigBarker.com/Ricky. BigBarker.com/Ricky is where you go to get your Big Barker dog bed with the Process Pup patches. You send us a picture of the dog on the bed with the patches on it. We'll put them in the Process Pup gallery, throw them up on social media. I'm telling you, it makes a difference. And it was originally designed for Eric, who owns Big Barker, his dog Hank. Rest in peace, Hank. Hank was a big dog. Couldn't find bed for him, but now Big Barker's made for all size dogs, from the Barker Jr. to the XL. The XL, you're human, you could fit on the XL. It is got a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial will give you a full refund plus shipping if you don't like it, if your dog doesn't like it, and it's handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
I want to go through. I'm not done with B-Ball Paul. I'm just
shit.
I can't stop thinking about Doc.
Okay.
Here's the Eastern Conference playoffs. Miami's the 1 seed. There are no big fives on Miami.
Nope.
Bam is not a big traditional 5. Boston. No big 5. Robert Williams can defend the perimeter. Al Horford can shoot on the perimeter. Not a DeAndre location. The Bucks, Maybe you'd say Brook Lopez is a big 5. He's certainly big and he's certainly a 5, but he also shoots from the outside. Most of his shots, I think like almost half of his shots are from 3. So you don't want DeAndre Jordan out there fucking lugging his big ass around to 3. Then you have Toronto. Obviously nobody there. Chris Boucher would just. I'm just imagining how often DeAndre would even like look at Chris Boucher to contest a 3.
The only question is whether Chris Boucher has 11 threes in the first half on Saturday or in game 2.
Because it's going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
Chicago, maybe Tony Bradley. Sure. You want to play him against Tony Bradley a little bit? Fine. Brooklyn, I mean, obviously Vucevic is a can go down low, but he obviously shoots way better. Brooklyn, no. I mean, Andre Drummond, I guess, maybe. Fine.
Yep.
Do it. Play him against Andre Drummond. Great. Cleveland, no. Atlanta, Capella. But again, Capella's moving. And it's
DeAndre Jordan
Charlotte
versus Andre Drummond.
PJ Washington. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like the other thing is that I want to make a point on how wrong Doc was is the idea that we don't want to be on our front foot.
Right.
With a
We're not
strategy.
the ones determining.
The
making
other team
them
gets to
adjust.
determine who they play, and then we just have to react to them. We don't want to say, the idea that, say, as an example, random player, Cody Zeller, the idea that Cody Zeller is a little lumbering at this point in his career, and if he's the backup center, then we'll go like, oh great, we'll play DeAndre Jordan against Cody Zeller because that's more of a fit. But it's like, well, why don't we just take advantage of him with B-ball Paul?
It's like Doc thinks the other team has Joel Embiid all the time, you know?
And there's nothing we can do. We have to do this. It's just insane that he wants to show his ass so often just because he doesn't want to admit that this guy is good, just because he's like a little bit weird. I'm telling you, he's anti-weird. Doc is anti-weird. B-Ball Paul is too weird. And like part of me, the respect for coaches, part of me wants to be, and respect for kind of, there's part of me anytime anyone says something really truly dumb where I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and go like, maybe it's a scheme. Maybe he's like trying to fool people into thinking he's really that dumb. But people are usually just that dumb, man. People are usually that dumb. People are
He's
rarely
not a double agent. He's not like a stupid double
doing
agent.
spy shit as much as like part of my brain wants them to be. So it's not the case. But man, like if he plays DeAndre Jordan for a minute in the playoffs, that's not garbage time. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it.
So the Sixers play the Raptors. They do have home court advantage, but they'll be without Matisse Thybulle for the games in Toronto, as was speculated on this podcast. I'm actually pretty proud of my Sherlock Holmesian in investigating to figure out that it was Thybulle. Thybulle.
I wonder if that means that Bassie is not, or if Bassie is. But
no,
I've definitely heard that he is not vaccinated. But
and they sent him to the G League for the Raptors game, so we don't know.
Yeah.
So Thybulle only
but he
got
has a
one
hurt right shoulder anyway,
right.
So he might be out for the series.
Yeah, they said reevaluated in 2 weeks, right, or something.
Which we love.
Yep. So Thybulle only got one shot. He did a press availability about it, or he did it after the game. I don't know what people. I don't want to like belabor this. It sucks that he can't play.
Yeah.
Be all end all. I don't know what people wanted him to say. I actually thought he answered the questions pretty honestly, and people were like, well, it's bizarre the decision he made. I don't know. I thought he was like pretty forthright and honest about the whole thing. You could agree or disagree. I think overall for the Sixers, it blows to not have a guy who's been a starter for most of the season for 3 games against a tough opponent when he's pretty much the only guy who can. He's obviously got his issues on the court, but the only guy who can do what he can do, and they just don't have the depth at wing to lose a wing who plays as much as he does. And just
it was very bizarre. Like he didn't, when the Toronto game happened in the regular season like a week or two ago, whatever, he didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have no press availability, no tweets, no Instagram, no vlog. Like didn't do it. And then he just started playing in those other games, and then he finally speaks, and it's like, okay, let's see what he has to say. And his logic, it was like the answer of like, what did people want him to say? I think people wanted him to say like, my bad. Like I was dumb.
Yeah.
Like I think people want him to say like, which like I want him to say that. I want him to say like, he's Matisse. Like he's a little bit of a doofus. Like that's kind of his charm. So I could have believed he would have been like, oh shit, the vaccine, I forgot. Oh my God, I knew it. And I kept meaning to, but I just didn't. So like the idea that he's like, he made like a point of saying, I'm not anti-vax. And I think that gets thrown around a lot. And I just made the decision for me. Like it wasn't like I'm against it. It just didn't seem to have the benefits for me. And it's like, I could hear how he seems like rational saying it, but like the benefits is that if you're really not that against it, the benefits is you get to play in the Raptors series in the playoffs.
If for nothing else, you
get to play for your team.
Right.
And now, like, that's why I think it's kind of bullshit because he wanted to come off likable and still himself. But like, dude, this is like an incredibly serious decision. And for you to be like kind of waffling on it where you're like, I got one shot. And then I heard that like one shot wasn't actually like super like 100% effective, that one shot wouldn't do it. Like who the fuck was saying that one shot was going to do it 100% of the time? Like no one was. So I think he's just probably an idiot. I think he grew up in a house that has like yeah, the idea that you can have some alternative medicine, like that's fine. You can have that, but also you should get the thing that is like a life-saving vaccine that you could help other people. And especially if you already got one shot of it, bro, like just get the other one and then you can play in the playoffs. And like for him to let his teammates down, like and especially like fucking Harden left Kyrie for at least probably not all of this, but like at least part of it. And like if I'm Matisse's teammate, I'm like, you better feel fucking strong about this. You better feel like life and death about this. Like I don't respect, at least this part of Kyrie for his stance about this. Like I think he's obviously wrong, and I think he's swimming with a bunch of like people that are not operating in good faith. But like at least Kyrie like really believes this shit.
But
Matisse seemed to be like, I don't know, it just didn't seem that beneficial to me. I didn't see really any of the benefits. Like the benefits is that you're not playing in the playoffs now, and like that's what your like kind of whole life has been working towards. And for you to waffle on this and get one shot of Pfizer, just like I don't know, man. I think he's just I obviously was very charmed by him, and I really like his game, but like this is such loser shit. Like there's always stuff like hanging around the Sixers, and it's just like such loser shit. Like just get the fucking vaccine, especially when it was seeming like this could have been a possibility like 3 weeks ago, and then to just like go to the media and be like, here's my like measured take about this. But like your actions is not a measured action. Like your take can be measured, but your action is, I'm choosing to not get a vaccine, the second half of a vaccine that would have prevented me from not playing in the playoffs. And that's just like, that's an extreme thing to do. That is an extreme thing to do.
What I would say is I think by and large, like I think we're over medicated as like a people in the United States. Like I think there are a lot of things that people could do to be healthier that would that we try to solve with pills all the time. And I think that end of it, like when people don't look at what they eat, and they don't look at their sleep, and they don't look at all those things. And I think those things are super, super important. So that part of his like belief system, I agree with. And I also like understand you get raised a certain way and that's how you think, and so on and so forth. We're all guilty of being who we are because of how we were raised. All that said, the things that I imagine that he takes cortisone shots in the elbow,
he fucking takes. I'm sure he's not like grilling the like trainers and doctors and saying like, show me the science. Like, give me a lab coat and let me like go in there and like look at everything. Like, I bet you're fucking not, dude. Yeah. You just like you went down a fucking YouTube hole and were like, actually, and whatever bias you had from growing up, you're like, actually, I don't see the benefit. Like, it's just, he's not playing in the playoff game because of like this opinion he has. So it's an extremely extreme opinion, and I find it like, as a teammate, I find it like,
yes,
I find it almost as despicable as the stuff that like Ben Simmons not showing up. It's like,
really?
You're not going to be there in the playoffs. Like,
yeah, I mean,
because of this, like this bad opinion. Like, you have a bad opinion. Like, Ben Simmons had a bad opinion and he didn't play in the playoff and didn't play the regular season. Matisse had a bad opinion. Now he's missing like critical playoff games in a series that like is going to be close.
And it hurts the team, and it like yeah, I wonder what the reaction in the clubhouse is like. Maybe they're like, you would have missed all your shots anyway. And, who knows how that affects him. But it does. The thing that I agree the most with you about is he does seem on the fence about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which makes the decision stranger. Like Kyrie was never going to get fucking vaccinated. Never. He would have, I don't think he would have played for 3 years if he had to. But Matisse is like, well, yeah. So actually, okay. So
this fucking team, man. This fucking team.
No, it's always something. Before we get
It's
to the
always
Raptors,
several things. It's always an abundance of things.
LL Pavorsky Jewelers is where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. Love LL. LL, do you know if LL had the opportunity, if he was on the Sixers and they were like, hey, to play in this series, you have to get 75 shots of the COVID vaccine all in your neck. LL for the team would do it.
Great neck.
That's fair to say. LL Pavorsky, the first sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, and has helped numerous podcast listeners and one podcast host with engagement rings. Over 260 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have gone to LL for engagement rings. What I can say about LL is honest. You go there's not going to be any stress. It's not going to be all fucking on you like most jewelry stores are. It's not intimidating. And he's a good person. He's going to take care of you. So you're going to get the right price, going to get great product, great jewelry, and the whole process of it is going to be great. He is a lovely, lovely man. And that's why he's been in business so long, over 30 years, right there at 707 Walnut. If you want to get an engagement ring from Lee, springtime's good engagement weather, go to send him an email, lee@llpavorsky.com. Give him a call, 215-627-2252. You always want to get an appointment before you buy the engagement ring, or tweet at him at @llpavorsky, also a generous supporter of our sponsors, Providence Animal Center, and coated by kids, LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
I'm going to sing. It's a one shining diamond.
So the Raptors, Sixers go into the series as minus 185 favorites at DraftKings, which is much more sided toward the Sixers than I figured. I was talking to MOC. I guessed minus 150. He guessed minus 125. Raptors finish 3 games behind the Sixers in the 5th seed. After the first month and a half of the season, it looked like the Raptors might not even make the playoffs, and have really turned into a very Raptors-y team.
Yep.
With a top 10 defense, the 15th best offense in the NFL, in the NBA rather, and not a particularly deep team, but like a super switchable, frisky, they're going to make fucking Harden and Embiid look really, really bad at times. Like they will, as far as Embiid has come with passing out of double teams, the double teams from the Raptors seem like they come out of nowhere. Like they're quick and they come from places you're not looking for. And as far as like Harden getting switches on the perimeter, just like all of these fucking guys can stay in front of him. Van Vliet can, Siakam can, Trent can, Anunoby can, Barnes can, Achua can. Like they are they're like the Canadian Celtics a little bit. I don't know. I think the Sixers will win this series, but I think the Raptors have the ability to make this series really, really frightening.
I think it's going to be a nightmare series. I don't think the Raptors particularly wanted to face the Sixers either. I think they probably thought they could match up better against some of the other teams in this area, because they don't have anybody that can match up with Embiid like one-on-one. They're just really long and good at sending doubles and sending doubles from different spaces. And Nick Nurse is obviously a way better coach than Doc. I will say, thank you, Shams, for posting an article saying that the Lakers have Nick Nurse high on their coaching wish list.
If you were
So
Nick
that
Nurse,
hopefully-
why would you ever fucking do that?
Why would you ever fucking do that? But also, like, I'll take, if there's like 1% strife and thoughts that he's going to
Yeah.
go, then like, I'll take that in the locker room. It's good to have somebody else's locker room burning down for once. And Bill Plaschke saying that the Lakers need Doc and want to go get him. And it's like, that would actually help the Sixers locker room. So I think any coaching carousel stuff can only help the Sixers.
Man, I would love if they take Doc and then we could get Nick Nurse.
Fine. Great.
Huge win. Yeah.
Anything. I will say not only are they really good at sending switches, is that they just like, as a team, hustle so much more than the Sixers do. Scotty Barnes really sets the tone on that as a rookie. Like, he's
so
is
good.
all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
And they're going to get so many offensive rebounds and every single loose ball, and they're going to get easy buckets in transition because like somebody's not going to get back, and there's going to be just guys looking at each other because they capitalize on mistakes so quickly. I think there's a real, I might bet the Raptors in the series. I think the Sixers are better just because of how good Embiid is, and I do believe in a Harden next gear, and obviously Maxey with the ball in his hands. He's been hitting such tough shots lately. Like, I love Tyrese Maxey, man. He's the best. Like, the Sixers didn't have anybody who could like dribble and shoot like in at all, almost either or. And now the fact that he can dribble and shoot into like a contested floater going the opposite way, like, he's just the man. I really adore that kid. But I think the Sixers' depth is bad, especially without Matisse there. They're not going to be able to cover anybody or get to any loose ball. I could see Tobias just getting roasted by Scotty Barnes over and over again. The hope is, at least in home games in Philly, Matisse swallows up Van Vliet enough so that it has to be Siakam that creates a lot of their offense, and Embiid locks in on Siakam, which he didn't the other game. Siakam was very, very good, and Embiid bid on a couple things. But like, that's the matchup I would like to see is Embiid covering Siakam, and probably that means Tobias on Scotty, and maybe like a Harden on Anunoby or something. But it's a tough. I mean, and then Tyrese on Gary Trent, who's going to hit everything. They're a tough ass team. They play really, really physical, and they play tough. And there's aside from Embiid, nobody's got a good matchup. So I think the hope is it's a dogfight, and the Sixers can score a little bit more than they can.
The Sixers have the best player in the series, and really the Raptors don't have any one in particular player who can match up with him. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean? Like, you just hope that is enough to get them through. But it's going to be a brutal series, a brutal series,
and especially if Chris Boucher is hitting shots, if Precious Achiuwa is hitting shots, which like suddenly he has and became like an excellent shooter, which came out of nowhere. Gary Trent's very hot and cold. Like, he could score 41 game and he could score like 6 the next. Anunoby's been dealing with some injuries, but they're really good. They're really good. They're well coached. They believe in each other. They play their asses off. Van Vliet hits ballsy shots all the time. I'm sure I don't know if Van Vliet thinks about this, but like in the Sixers Raptors series a few years ago, Doc will remember it as the one that the Sixers didn't have a backup center, and that's why they lost, because in the like 3 minutes that Embiid sat per game, the Sixers lost by 20 points in each of those games. Van Vliet was bad in that series. He did nothing. He was really,
I think
really
he
bad.
made 1 3.
It was all Kawhi. Series. He was horrendous. And so the fact it was really all Kawhi, and then Van Vliet the next 2 series into the championship then like became like a folk hero. But I'm sure Embiid thinks, I need to get revenge on this team. I'm sure he takes the Masai team seriously as a guy that was discovered at a Masai camp in Africa. And it's just like, it's going to be on Embiid. Like, I mean, it's in some sense, it's going to be are the Sixers going to hit enough shots to make the Raptors pay for all of their doubling and switching and throwing guys everywhere? And if they don't, if the Sixers miss a bunch of shots, if Danny starts the series like 1 for 9 from 3 and Tobias is passing up shit and Harden's not shooting off the catch and maybe Maxey goes a little bit cold, is Embiid going to keep passing to them? And that's a concern of mine, is that will Tobias revert back to his old version of himself? Will Embiid revert back to the guy that doesn't really want to pass to the shooters that he doesn't really trust? And so we'll find out. I think it'll probably go 7. And in a game 7, I might have to go with the better coach. So I might just say I think Raptors in 7 probably. But it's because of the Sixers'
Is that
lack
your
of depth.
official pick? I mean, we'll talk before the season starts. Are you saying Raptors in 7?
I think so. I think probably, yeah. Doc fucking sucks, man. I'm really pissed off at him. Danny has been pretty good the last couple weeks. He didn't do anything in the last game, but he had 6
Stunning
threes
moment.
or something in that game.
Yeah.
But he's been helpful defensively. It seems like he's starting to pick back up a little bit. But if that hamstring even gets a little quiver, his ass is done. And then it's Isaiah Joe or Charlie Brown covering people. Are we putting those guys in? I don't know. So they're just significantly shorthanded, and we know that the Sixers are going to have to do a lot of shit in the offseason to solidify a wing rotation and get guys that can do more than just one thing. So they're not as susceptible to a team like the Raptors. But I think they're playing with more togetherness. As good as Embiid is, I think the Raptors are going to just make sure that bodies are sent at him all the time. I think I'm picking. Matisse not being there in Toronto is going to hurt, and imagine Van Vliet going for 38.
Yeah.
When Maxey is biting on some stuff, although I think he's started to stop biting on things because he knows guys are getting him to do that, and Harden gets switched onto him and he stops moving his feet and stuff, and then it's just Matisse sitting at home being like, I wonder if I should have gotten that second shot. I wonder. So, and I hope Doc fights Derek. If the Sixers lose, I would love for Doc to fight Derek. Now that Derek's hot, I would take Derek.
The question is, if it gets to a game 7, is Doc even there, or is he already interviewing for the Lakers job? There's an article in the LA Times right now about how Doc Rivers is the only choice to replace Frank Vogel.
Yeah, that's the Bill Plaschke article I referenced earlier.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, go for it.
We'll end on one mailbag question. This is from Don. Hello, team.
I just want Elton. One second. I just want Elton and Daryl to just show up at Doc's house or hotel room or whatever it is with just baseball bats and be like, B-ball Paul, or we come back.
You want
I want threats. I want absolute threats. Elton and Daryl showing up and being like, enough of this. Enough of this.
I love how Daryl said that I made too big a deal out of backup centers, and we've, at the end of the season,
I haven't said anything else. I haven't said anything else in a month.
Don't you tell us what to fucking care about, motherfucker. We've been here 10 years doing this fucking thing, and you're going, oh.
I'm begging them to watch the previous Raptors series. Just the minutes that Embiid's in on the court. It's unbelievable.
The final mailbag, final thing before we get going, from Don. Hello, Team Ricky. Let me get right to the point. If Joel doesn't get MVP, it will be for no other reason than the writers and the haters of the process lashing out because they would fully realize that we were right and they were wrong. Make no mistake, if Joel doesn't get this well-deserved award, we need to mobilize and respond in kind. Now, I realize the pod has grown and Mike has become a big-time Hollywood writer and producer, and Spike has gone to the Big Apple and responding seems beneath us. I assure you, this point is wrong. We need to be ready because they have declared war on our fan base. I also believe this will motivate Joel as nothing ever before has. Thanks for reading, awaiting further directions and strategy for what is surely to come. I'm not only angry that he's not going to win, but I'm angry that it seems like it's going to be a blowout. And I just feel like
it's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Come on.
I feel like you can explain it real easily by saying that Joel Embiid is one of the 2 best defensive centers in the NBA. It's the most important position on defense on the team, and he also led the league in scoring, and his team was also better. And also it would be fair considering that Jokic won last year.
And he carried a team that was in unprecedented turmoil because one of the young max contract players decided not to show up. And they're coached by a massive fuckface. We can't rule that out of how much that impacts things. It's just like, and it's, man, people just really trying to make like, they're really diving into the stats and all the information. We're looking at the footage and shit. Jokic is an incredible player, and he won MVP last year. And to give him MVP this year indicates that he got worlds better in a way that other players just haven't. And you just have to consider that context. And he's the same player he was last year with fewer guys on the team that are taking up possessions. He's great. He's an elite player. Nothing against Nikola Jokic. People that are saying negative things about Jokic as a player, I have nothing but positive things to say about him. But it's Embiid's turn. He doesn't deserve 2 in a row. Like if nobody else was good, if everybody was clearly like, if it was Jokic or like Devin Booker, which is like, he had a good year, he had a great year. He's on one of the best teams, but like statistically just didn't match up. That's more of a team win. Then it's like, okay, you give it to him. He had an unbelievable year, but Embiid and Giannis and Jokic all had almost the same exact elite player year and for a big guy. And everyone is just like, they think that there's an answer. They think that if they look at the right combination of stats, there's the right answer. And there's just not. There just isn't. It's all the same.
Here's the deal. If you didn't vote for Embiid, I'm going to name everyone on the podcast and talk about your physical imperfections. So I'm going to look at pictures of you if you didn't vote for Embiid, and I'm going to say your name on the podcast. I'm going to talk about your physical imperfections.
Show us just your dick, Kevin O'Connor. Reveal it to us as penance.
All right. All right. Well, playoffs start in a week. What, Saturday?
Just give it to him. People were so mean. He missed the first 2 seasons of his career.
Yep.
His fucking on a day that like a hit piece came out, his brother died. Like he is a delightful presence. Guy, he's the man. Like Jokic has so many wonderful qualities, and he's already been MVP. I just don't understand why people are like, as if like they're fucking finding the Holy Grail, and inside the Holy Grail is the answer of who should be the MVP. When really it's just like, just fucking pick one. Pick the guy that hasn't won one. What are we doing? Calm down. I have to take the trash out. I just got an alarm. This is bullshit.
I'd like to make a thank you to the Drew Hanlon. I do like the campaigning he's been doing and calling out writers directly on Twitter.
Unfortunately, I am unable to see the campaigning because I am
did he block you?
Blocked by Drew Hanlon. I am royally blocked. I don't know that I'm blocked by anybody else. I think it might only be Drew Hanlon. Look, I was going through some stuff. The Markelle Fultz thing really just was it was a tough time. It was a tonnage of things, Drew. Not that I need to see his tweets. I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know, at the time he deserved it. Maybe now. Maybe I take back a couple things. Who knows? Who knows? Who gives a shit? He's fine.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. That's it. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. You know, lick face. Playing, baby. Let's go.